Hey guys, Ken here with Tax Canine in Las Vegas, Nevada. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about crate anxiety and some of the techniques and methods we do to help clients get their dogs more accustomed to and develop better crate training skills. When a dog, especially is new to a crate, it doesn't like the fact that it doesn't have the access to go where it chooses to go. The crates are designed to keep the dogs safe, to keep the dogs from destroying personal property while we're not awake or when we're not home, and it gives the dog a sense of being. Crate training is really important in the type of training that I do because honestly guys, it gives the dogs a set of boundaries. What I mean by that is everything inside this box right now, or this crate, belongs to the dog. Everything outside the big bad world of the crate belongs to me, and all good things come through me. So what we like to do is we like to start to teach the dog boundaries. If the dog understands and respects the boundaries within this box, it will then, once it steps out into the big bad world, will start to respect and seek to us for leadership. And that's really where the training comes in, is you being an effective leader. Now, when we're talking about crate training, a lot of times people will get the wrong idea and think, well, my dog has separation anxiety because it's crying and hollering and doing everything in a crate. And it's not to say that it may or may not. And these are going to be some really quick tips that we can help share with you to alleviate some of the anxiety that's going on in the crate and help the dog turn off. That's our goal. It's to help the dog turn off. When the dog's outside the box and he's engaged and he's working with you, the dog is on, like a light switch. When the dog goes into the crate, the dog's off. So we have several crates here. All these dogs are in a crate right now, and we don't hear them, okay, because they're in the off state. So a couple of techniques I'm going to share with you, we have little nicknames for, okay? They're effective, but what we have to stress first and foremost is that when we execute any one of these techniques, we do it in a calm and assertive manner. Okay, guys, if you're frustrated and upset, do not attempt any of these techniques because you're only going to relay that negative energy onto the dog and create a negative association to the crate. We don't necessarily want to do that when the negative comes from you. When it comes from its outside environment and it's safe on the inside, it's a different story. But if it sees you coming, you screaming, you hollering, and then you doing the correction on the crate, the dog is going to build up a different association. It's not one we want. So we want to create the persona that everything positive comes outside the crate and all good things come from you. So now things like separation anxiety, and containment phobia are realistic, behaviors. And I don't want to discount them. If you have questions or want to learn a little bit more about it, there's a great book on Amazon, and they have a Kindle version as well. It's by Karen Garvin. It's called Separation Anxiety versus Containment Phobia. The differences between the two, and to help you better understand or maybe help diagnose some of the crate issues that you're having with the dog. So I certainly recommend this. Once again, it's Separation Anxiety versus Containment Phobia by Karen Garvin. You can get it on Amazon. It's a great book. It's a quick read. Very good book. All right, so let's start. So one of the methods that we use, and we'll use this cone as the dog. I'm going to take the cone, put it inside the crate. Puppy's crying and hollering. Bark, 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 bark. Okay? What we want to do is we want to walk up and mark that behavior and with a negative correction. So the dog's barking is an overstimulation. It's anxiety, it's stress, and it's not a behavior that we want to condition into the dog. It's a behavior we want to condition out of the dog. There's a time and a place to bark, and it's not in a crate when it feels like it or it's not getting its way. So one of the things that you can do is you can just do a very simple technique where we can just kind of tap the top of the crate. Dog's barking, You walk up, you just walk up calmly, assertively, with a bit of purpose. You walk up and go, no, no, So it's preferred to do it with a metal crate. But what I did was you walk up to the crate calmly, you let the dog see you walk up calmly, but with, being assertive. And then I want you to mark and go, no, correction. No, that's the marker word for correction. So now the first time you do it, you overcorrect. You go, no, and you give it a little more oomph. Okay, that was pretty hard, but you give it pretty much a good oomph, and the dog is going to go, whoa. But it heard the word no, and then it felt this vibration. Its sound vibration is what we're using to correct this dog. It's not the fear or the slamming. It's just the sound vibration. You know, you can do it from the top, and then you stand in front of the crate, and then you say at a lower tone, no, no. And as the dog calms down, you bring down. And so as the dog de-escalates its hyperactivity, you start to de-escalate the word no. Say it a couple times, then you just slowly walk away. You don't run off with a purpose, don't scream, don't talk, just turn around and slowly walk away. Now, another technique that we do when it comes to crates, we all have little nicknames. I have things, like this is one that will be used in the dog training circles from time to time. It's called the earthquake technique. Now, before I demonstrate the earthquake technique, I'm holding a blanket in my hand. And a blanket is a very, very good tool for crate training. What do I mean? Okay, so we have a nice wire crate here. And when I bang on this crate, it's a lot of noises. Okay, I don't even have to hit very hard, and it's a lot of noises. So what we do is that the first thing you do is when the dog has anxiety and it's barking and it's crying and it's whimpering, you can just walk up and give it a verbal correction. No. Just tap the crate. No. If the dog, and once again, this is all calm and assertive, but if you go, no, and you correct the dog and the dog calms down, you slowly walk away. Another technique that I like to do, and I do this actually quite often, is dogs are den animals. So what I'll do is I'll take a blanket, a nice light fleece blanket, and I'll cover the crate. Okay, I'll first cover the crate 3 sides around, leave the front open just a little bit so the dog can see what's going on, it can experience what's going on, and that's all fine and dandy. And then once again, the dog starts getting in its over-distracted, over-stimulated behavior, and it's only ramping up its hysteria. Just think about the old movies, you know, when someone was hysterical, they'd slap it out of them. Well, we don't want to physically slap the dog, but we want to knock them out of that state of mind, you know, by stunning them a little bit, by surprising them a little bit, and all of a sudden it changes their state of mind. So if they cover the crate, sometimes what you can do is just literally cover the crate like this. You don't have to do anything. Just go, no, cover the crate, and then calmly walk away, okay? And that alone will give it a much more comfortable den-like feel, and will help the dog settle in a little bit, because it could just be the outside stimulus that's turning the dog on and off. So creating a nice little comfortable den-like experience definitely goes a long way. And I do that quite often. I have tremendous success with it. Probably my first go-to is just a nice fleece, light blanket to cover over, and I just use calm, assertive energy. I don't scream, I don't holler. I only overcorrect once, and then I use it, and then from that point on, I de-escalate down. Now, there is a technique where they can also earthquake it. So what I'll do is I will walk up, and I will cover the crate a little bit more. And then what we'll do is the dog is having anxiety, it's stressing, it's barking, it's hollering. I go, no! Just shake the crate a little bit like this. Think of it, we call it the earthquake routine, the earthquake. What happens when you're experiencing an earthquake, and I've never had the luxury of being through that experience, but there's a lot of folks that have. It comes sudden, it comes unexpected, and you really get your world rocked when you experience that for the few seconds that it happens. So we're really kind of mimicking that with the dog, and we don't want to make this like a 7.0 magnitude, you know, big one and throw the dog all the way around. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to help knock the dog out of its overstimulated sense. So you cover the crate totally, and then you let the dog kind of start to build up its anxiety again. You'll start picking up crying and whining. You walk up calmly. You just stand next to the crate, wait a second or two, and this is a technique that I really recommend. Breathe in, and then correct on the exhale. It's the same way when I teach my clients how to correct and how to praise. Breathe in, No. Breathe out. Breathe in. No. Breathe out. It changes the state of energy. The dog can feel that. Trust me, it can feel that. And then you just step away calm and assertive, and you won't have, you'll help de-escalate the dog out of that state. Okay? As opposed to screaming, hollering, no, 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 or worse yet, giving the dog free access by just giving into it. And that happens more times than not because people get puppies, they don't have the patience or the time to deal with it. And that's really comes down to patience. More than anything else, it's patience. So, last but not least, what I like to do with the crate is I always like to teach the dog boundaries. A lot of times we do this. The dog's really excited when we get home, but the dog's really amped up and excited and wants to get out of the crate. So what do we go? We come up, we get really excited. Hey, Fluffy Bunny, how you doing? And then all of a sudden we open the door up and the dog bolts right out. Okay? Well, if the dog bolts right out, it doesn't know the difference between this boundary and that boundary, other than the fact that you have this door that's controlling it. So what I do is I like to keep the crate closed. So when I come home, I come into the kennel, I go to open the crate, I open the gate latches, then I slide them back. I do not open the door yet, but I slide the latches back, so that when I can tap the door like this, it's not going to hit the dog. So now I slowly start to open the door, and I let the dog bolt out, as if it was ready to bolt out. And then I just go, no! And the dog gets to the threshold of the door and stops. Now, you're not actually smacking the dog in the head or anything like that. Now, it might hit them, and that's, that's all comes down to timing. But that's the reason why I like to slide the latches over, because there are brackets here that the latches lock onto that can catch it. So now what we're doing is, as the dog starts coming up, I go, no. The whole box shakes, the door shakes, the dog hears the sound vibration. It interrupts their thought process of overstimulation. Now they de-escalate, they calm down a little bit, and they're like, holy cow, what just happened? And then you go, You don't scream and holler, you just give them a calm, assertive correction. No. Then you start to slowly open the door again, still keep the latches closed. If the dog tries to threaten to bolt past that, you just go, No. The dog will calm down, and then you'll open the crate like this. The dog will be sitting in the back of the crate going, what the heck just happened? Okay? Just like you would be in an earthquake. What just happened? Is everybody okay? And what's going on here? Now I can look at the dog and calmly, on the exhale, praise on the exhale, correct on the inhale. When we correct on the inhale, our chest expands, we're holding our breath, our words are firmer, but they're not excited. No. And they project a little more intensity. And to the dog, even though it doesn't look slight, we look like the Michelin Man. We build up this sort of big persona. And then when we praise on the exhale for two reasons. One, it takes the note when I go, yes, yes, yes. When I praise, I'm taking that tone and I'm dropping it down. A stimulated tone of, good puppy, yes, oh, that's overstimulation. Overstimulation is the behavior we want to avoid, okay? That is a behavior we want to try to condition out of the dog, or at least minimize as much as possible. So every time we do want to praise the dog, we praise on the exhale. The lungs have to expel the air. As they expel the air and you say the note, you can drop the note down, still give the dog the correction it wants, and the acknowledgement that it deserves. However, you're not doing it in a stimulated fashion. So, yes, yes. So once a dog goes through this door routine and kind of gets its world rocked, and you're not physically doing this, mind you, it's just the sound vibration that's doing it, then at this point in time, the dog will be sitting back there. Now you can say, okay, let's go. Calmly and assertively, you walk away and you let the dog come out on its own terms. And it's going to come out easy, easy, easy peasy. Now, dog goes back in the crate later, and once again, we always create positives with the crate. How do we do that? treat the dog every time it goes into the crate. Okay? Bedtime, breakfast time, every time you're leaving, you give the dog its treat, and the dog will be quite happy with it. I also feed my dogs in the crate. It helps when you have multiple dog households to prevent resource guarding, dogs going after others' food, things like that. A lot of dog fights happen that way because we have toys and we have bones and we have all this junk laying around, we have their food laying around. That's a resource for the dog, and the dog is going to take advantage of that. They're animals of opportunity. So give them the peace of mind of knowing all good things take place inside this crate. Okay? Even though they got the earthquake, they got the bang on the crate, they never physically got hurt. Okay? They got corrected, but they didn't ever get physically corrected or get physical pressure. So when the dog goes back into the crate, treat the dog in the crate. When the dog comes out of the crate, you praise the dog. When the dog goes in, positive reward. Don't overstimulate. Say, good, puppy, good. Yes, yes, yes. And when we do that, you'll see you have much greater success. After a while, after a couple times, these dogs are going to come out very slowly. Now, you can use You use the interrupter, to help the dog know when it can and can't go. All right? Dogs are like light switches. On, off, on, off, on, off. I want to create the dimmer switch in between. Not time yet, buddy. Not time yet. Okay, now you can come out. When the dog is calm and not overstimulated, the dog can come out. Now it comes out, it's a little happy, yes. You praise it, yes, good. Okay, let's go outside. But do everything calmly and assertively, and you won't have a problem. So yeah, a couple tips. You don't want to be banging this thing around like that. Okay, we're not in, the great big earthquake here that's going to knock down buildings. But we want the effectiveness. When you do it, if you think you're going to do it at one level, raise it up just a notch. Okay, you gotta overcorrect a little bit. Don't undercorrect. If you're a soft person, then think about what that intensity level would be. You want to overcorrect a little bit, but don't physically do it to the dog. Do it to the box. So the dog understands, while I did get the sound vibration, I was protected by this box because the big bad world is full of earthquakes. And I want to know that I'm safe inside my box. Okay? So it's just a way to help turn the dogs on and off. And when you condition this into the dog, and you condition crate training into the dog, you will totally avoid things like separation anxiety. Okay? Separation anxiety a lot of times is exacerbated by us giving negative and weak emotions, soft emotions. Oh, poor baby, I feel bad. I'm putting you in a box. I'm putting you in a crate. The way I always tell my clients is this. Look, dogs are animals that are pack animals. They like you. They like the family. They like everybody immediately. They're not really overly hypersocial creatures where they got to go out to the mall and see everything and participate. Some dogs are. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of dogs that aren't. Because dogs are very wary of energy. Okay, and there is a real issue with containment phobia, but don't use it as the excuse. You got to get through it. Everybody's got containment phobia at one point in time, so we have to work through that. If the dog's getting to the point where it's violently hurting itself, it's screaming, it's destroying the crate, yeah, you've got a case of containment phobia. Okay, but if you have any questions, check this book out. It's on Amazon. It's by Karen, Karyn Garvin. Karen Garvin, Karen with a Y. And it's called Separation Anxiety versus Containment Phobia. All right. I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, feel free to give us a shout here or message us. It's www.tags, or just look us up on the web and shoot me a message and see what we can do to help you. All right? Thanks, guys.